Black Power, y'all. I'm gonna give y'all a second to come in the room. Black Power, Black Power. I'm very excited to do this review today. Or this Proper-gander, I should say. I'll give y'all a couple minutes. I can't see the comments. Is that cool? I'm talking to my co-host, I should say. I can't hear you. Black Power. Just wait 1 or 2 minutes or whatever. Yeah. Black Power, Karina. Love it. Like the hearts. Send them hearts my way. Please. No, I'm not even trying to see the comments. I'm about to just go off. Last time I had like some trolls or whatever, and then it like kind of distracted me. I'll like check in the comments like after I made some points and see what y'all have to say. That's how we're gonna do. But yeah, let's get into it. Just kidding. All right, Black Power, y'all. Welcome to another episode of Proper-gander. This is episode 3, the special Yee-Haw edition of Proper-gander. We're covering a Rockstar game by the name of Red Dead Redemption 2. Now, Proper-gander is a web series made by the Black Hammer organization, revolutionary organization that's dedicated to the liberation of black and brown people all across the world. And it is I guess like a school kind of to get the masses to notice these kind of white nationalist narratives that permeate all forms of media. We are anti-colonial, anti-imperialist, and anti-capitalist, and we aren't afraid of saying that we have that bias. We are interested in the liberation of our people, and we make no qualms about that. This is not a unbiased review. This is totally biased to the needs of my people. So let's get into it. I do want to say that, and I want to say it regularly, that no one is immune to propaganda. It's not anything that you should be ashamed about or whatever. It is just how the human mind works. We develop our personalities, we develop our values by interacting with the material world around us, and propaganda functions so they instill values by putting material media and with hidden values like in our path, in our surroundings. Every TV show, every comic book, every movie, every advertisement is specially produced to get a reaction or instill a kind of value in you. And it's not your fault if you fall for it. That's why we made this show, so you can peep what they're trying to make you think, because, yeah, you already know. All right, so Red Dead Redemption 2. Red Dead Redemption is actually a game that I really like. And I know that's kind of weird because it's some cowboy shit. It's literally some Old Town Road, Lil Nas X on the horse type shit, where you're like a gun-slinging, gruff white man, and then there's like outlaws, and you're doing like train robberies and things of that nature. And Red Dead Redemption 2 is a Western. That's pretty much what the genre is called. It's a Western, and Westerns are period pieces where they depict a certain time. And I've said it before in my videos that Westerns are particularly guilty of depicting a period of time completely and utterly wrong. The myth of the cowboy western is some old fake ass honky lie, and people should really stop thinking about that time, thinking that like it was all like that, with like the saloons all broken down and like people having like gun duels and stupid shit like that. Like ain't nobody did that. Like it don't make no sense. That's not only Red Dead Redemption. All cowboy shit is some fake shit. If you really think about it, if you know criminals, which we're black and brown working class, you know criminals, criminals do smart shit. Criminals have to outthink the state. So what kind of criminal would have to do like a death-defying gun battle before robbing somebody, before robbing a train? What kind of dumbass criminal thinks that like going on your horse, riding by the train, jumping on your horse and then jumping on the train is a good plan for getting money? Like that shit is some fake propaganda. Yeah. The origins of it is that there are the more technologically advanced countries in the east as the colonists expanded west, and these institutions, these like cities, if you will, would write stories about the old west. And from these stories, we get the cowboy tropes of like the gruff cowboy and these racist ass depictions of indigenous people being savages, which is a horrible term to describe a people. So cowboy shit is fake, y'all, but colonialism is real. The white working class being complicit or enacting violence on the indigenous population to get their resources, that is real. What is real is that upon discovering this land, there were at least, just by their accounts, which isn't even like the most trustworthy accounts, just by their accounts, there's like 10 million indigenous people when they step foot to rob this land. By the time that Red Dead Redemption takes place, or Red Dead Redemption 2, I should say, takes place, there were 300,000 people max. So the reason why I'm saying this is because I seen some people in the comment section when I posted up that I'm doing Proper-gander. They got like all up in arms talking about like, oh no, this is like an accurate depiction of race relations and like, no. This project was not meant to be like a historical document. They may have had some historians so they can make the experience more real, which they did have a lot of studying of the architecture and the plains and then the wildlife and all that, but that's all to make your gaming experience real, not to give you an idea of what was going on, which is ridiculous to look at this game and be like, yeah, that's how it probably was. So that's why I'm here, to expose that kind of white lie. So, Rockstar Games executive, he's like the executive of creativity. He writes these games. He writes like Grand Theft Auto, and he specifically wrote Red Dead Redemption 2. Dan Houser was quoted saying that he hopes to speak to the present political climate elliptically, not literally. So what he means by that is that there is no like stand-in for Obama, like there's no Obama character, there's no Bernie Sanders character, but he's speaking to present day movements using that Western context. Y'all feel me? Y'all hear what I'm saying? Yeah, so the intent of depicting or stating some sort of stance on contemporary politics is literally stated by the director, the writer of this story. You can see the elliptical politics, some of the ideologies he speaks to are the modern feminist movement, white nationalists, like outright white nationalists. There are eugenics in this game. There are like spoken out like what people think are racists. They're in this game, and they're like We'll get into that. There's also left wing, like white leftist kind of characters, as well as the indigenous stereotypes and things like that. So all these characters fall into that and kind of represent that movement that's going on right now. It's not that that's a historical representation of those movements then. Yeah. So in terms of representation, or where people kind of like get things wrong, I feel like there's just a misconception in the white left. Like, they look at this game, and one of the things that was trending is that you can run into Klansmen, right? So that shit happened to me while I was playing this game, and I gotta be self-critical, because this game took like a lot of my life. I was really enjoying this game. I was playing till like the damn morning when I had to like work the next day. But yeah, so I'm on my horse or whatever, and it's like dead of night, and you see like clan meetings and shit, where they're like setting the fucking cross on fire type shit, and they're saying all this kind of like, oh, we gotta keep the purity of the race and shit like that, and it's supposed to be like, I guess like alarming or whatever, I don't know. But I had already known that was like trending and that was gonna happen, so I wasn't really surprised. But the significance of this is that if you post up there and shoot up all the fucking KKK members, or like throw a grenade and fuck them all up, your honor system, because this game has a gauge where it tells your character if you're doing good or bad, or if you're a good person or a bad person, like it judges your morality. If you shoot up all the KKK members, it doesn't do anything to your morality. If you shoot some random people, it'll be like, yeah, you're evil, and it takes morality points. And a lot of white leftists point to this morality system and the fact that you can kill the eugenics people and not lose honor. It shows, they think that it's somehow progressive, that it's showing that it's anti-racist, when really it's showing that y'all don't know what the fuck racism is. And I'm using that term lightly, because like, it's because of conversations like this that that term racist becomes kind of like has less use. I prefer to understand what's going on as colonialism, because yeah, like if you, I don't know, if you shoot up like these Klansmen or whatever, like it's somehow like benevolent, you know? When you're still on occupied land, you're still there's still whole settlements that the U.S. government is expanding and murdering indigenous people in mass, enslaving African people in America. That is racism. That is colonialism. It's not just the white nationalists that are sitting there burning a fucking cross or wearing a white hood. It is the state. It is the colonial project of the Europeans that went to Africa, went to South America, went to what is now known as the U.S. and committed genocide against these black and brown people. And racism is the ideological part of it, because you need to instill the racist ideology for you to do the material gains of colonialism. Does that make sense? Like, in order to have a population of people to destroy an entire other population of people, it takes a kind of ideology. Racism is that ideology, but colonialism manifests itself in many different ways. It's the entire state apparatus. It's the entire nationhood, if you will. So yeah, this game depicts America like being like progressive. Like your main character has like black best friends, and they talk about white privilege and shit like that to make it seem like America is moving away from colonialism, that it's moving away from racism. But we know damn well in 2019 we are still dealing with these kind of state institutions, colonial institutions, racist institutions. I think this misunderstanding comes from because this game is set like 30 years after the Civil War, right? So something that you'll hear throughout this whole game when you're riding with your black friend, you know what I'm saying? Your token black friend, pretty much, is they'll say like, yeah, people in the South really don't fuck with me. I don't get a lot of love in the South. White people treat me different. That's one of the characters, the black token character, Lenny. He's like, white people treat me different. And I'm like, man, that's kind of like a real safe way to say like you're fucking oppressed and that lynchings took place and like white mobs would fucking destroy your whole neighborhood. I guess they treated you different. I guess you could say that, but you ain't really calling it what it is. But yeah, like it's trying to depict that it was just the South that perpetuated racism, that the North was a progressive force in American history, which is a huge misunderstanding of a white leftist or a white liberal. The North wasn't a benevolent source that had the idea of human rights for black people. The North merely had to make the Emancipation Proclamation, had to make that doctrine so they can help them win the war. It was an economic process. Like, it's a lot to get into, for real. Like, how can you say that the North wasn't racist when, like, yeah, they picked the cotton in the South, but the northern factories, they processed that cotton. You know what I'm saying? The North had slave plantations as well. They even got benefits after the Emancipation Proclamation, so long as they were loyal to the Union. You see what I'm saying? The Emancipation Proclamation pretty much gave the slaves like a chance to like fight for what they understood to be freedom, to like go up and defeat the Confederate. Because if the Confederate was allowed to keep their plantations, because it's fucking slave labor, they would economically surpass the Union. That is why Abraham bitch ass Lincoln fucking made that doctrine, the Emancipation Proclamation. There was still lynchings in the North. It wasn't like an ideological conflict. It was just a conflict of economics, an economic production. The fact is that America was built on slavery, and it's been quoted by Marx, if like slavery had disappeared, then so would America. And it's crazy to me that people buy into this shit, because we obviously see slavery still alive, but just obscured. So instead of being out in the open in the plantation, it's behind a wall in jail. You see what I'm saying? It just evolved. It wasn't abolished. And man, I got some quotes from Abraham Lincoln right now that he even said, like, that's straight honky shit. It's no different than no motherfucking Klansman or racist from the South. Your boy said, I will say then that I am not, nor ever have been, in favor in bringing about in any way the social and political equality of the white and black races. That I am not, nor ever have been, in favor of making voters or jurors of Negroes, nor of qualifying them to hold office, nor to intermarry with white people. And I will say, in addition to this, that there is a physical difference between the white and black races, which I believe will forever forbid the two races living together in terms of social and political equality. And in as much as they cannot so live while they do remain together, there must be a position of superior and inferior, and I, as much as any other man, am in favor of having the superior position aligned to the white race. That was your boy. So don't come at me thinking about like that this is like a proper depiction of the race relations, because it's completely underpinning the fact that America is like a motherfucking violent racist machine. And they just act like, oh, like every single fucking time racism is brought up, it's always the South. They always have to mention the South. Like, for real. That's how I go. So yeah, like I said before, the writer had said that they wanted to speak to modern movements elliptically, not literally. Those are his words. So what he's doing by bringing in the KKK and random like eugenics on the streets that you can run into, he's making fun of, it's satirical to the modern white nationalist movement because of shit like the Unite the Right protest. I forgot when it happened, but y'all know Charlottesville. When things like that happen, it makes people want to detach from that, from their understanding of like, oh, that's racist. You know what I'm saying? So Dan Houser has that mentality of making fun of people who hold that political line of white nationalism. It's not when you shoot up the KKK and Red Dead Redemption 2 that you're fighting racism. You're just making fun of white nationalists at this point. Y'all make sense? Does that make sense? Let me check the comments now. I've been talking shit for a minute. All right, bet. Black Power window. What it is. But yeah, this shit is a joke. This shit is a literal joke to say that this game is even remotely like historically accurate. Yeah, I wanted to speak to I wanted to speak to the depiction of indigenous people in this game. Like Arthur, your main character is like this like centrist who like always treats like black and brown people like really well or whatever, as to show like not all white people were like this. He befriends a character by the name of Rainfall. He's like an indigenous brother. He's like a chief of his struggling tribe. And like the white savior character that Arthur is, he like gallops into their neighborhood and like buzz into their business and shit. But Rain's Fall is a kind of interesting character to me because he is a typical like he's like a peace-loving chief. Like he wants the best for his people, which is like obviously admirable or whatever. But what he does is condemn the use of violence, which is a very pervasive theme in all honky media. Where when it comes down to indigenous or African rebellion, we are always told to be in the position of, hey, we got to be peaceful about it. When America is never peaceful about shit. Like when fucking 9/11 happened, were y'all peaceful about that shit? No. Y'all ran up into some motherfucking country and started lighting people up. So I think it's crazy that when you understand colonialism as a war on indigenous people, as a war on African people, you have these fucking dumbass characters that be like, don't resist, it'll start a war. Bitch, you're in war. Like, he literally has his whole fucking camp, which is the typical like the triangular tent, like burned down by these honkies, bro. And he's like, nah, bro, we can't fight back. We'll start a war. It's ridiculous to say that. And the antithesis of him is his son. His son is named Eagle Flies. So Eagle Flies is the opposite character. Eagle Flies wants to go to war with the state, pretty much. and he goes to their like oil fields and like sets them on fire on some real shit. I fucked with Eagle Flies low key, but what he's depicted as naive, as opposed to Rains Falls, who's like super peaceful or whatever. He's depicted as wise, which is the framing of the issue, that it's wise to turn the other cheek. You know what I'm saying? When facing oppression, that's the value they're trying to instill to us, African people, to us indigenous people. They're trying to be like, nah, don't fight back. Be like Rains Fall. He was wise. Don't be like Eagle Flies. He got shot. He led his people into like a whole massacre or whatever. When really, these motherfucking honkies will fucking massacre you anyway. They've been massacring people. I just told y'all the statistics. It went from 10 million to 300,000. So how is this not a war? How are you avoiding massacre by not struggling against the oppressors? Yeah. So like that was a that's obviously like an elliptical kind of politic. I don't even think that the writers probably even had an understanding of that the way that they're portraying it. I just think it's like a white lie that people like already have, that has been propagated for so long that it's just like that. Another elliptical character besides the indigenous people and the white nationalists, they kind of have like this Jordan Peterson understanding of Marxism. So there's a character named Dutch Vanderlyn, and really the game is centered around him, bro. Like the game is his gang. The game is centered around watching his gang just fall. So Dutch he's like an idealist. He's always reading books and like always has these plans, and it allows him to be kind of like charismatic and brings a lot of people. He has like a gang of like 20 people, and it brings people to his way of life or whatever. But his values like include that he's like a Robin Hood type motherfucker. He's like, oh, I'm gonna rob from the rich and give to the poor people. At least that's how he starts anyway. He's depicted as this idealistic man who essentially wants to redistribute wealth to the poor. They don't say it in those terms, but that's essentially his main political goal. You feel me? And in that way, and in the fact that he gets this gang and he lives communally with them, like your character lives with him, a bunch of other characters that I've described lived with him, and there's actually a system in the game where you like invest. Everybody invests in the camp, and y'all all develop together. What'd that sound like, y'all? It's a characterization of communism, pretty much. It's like a Jordan Peterson ass understanding, like somebody who ain't never heard or read Marx really. It's like their understanding of communism. So yeah, this game is insidious in that manner because Dutch, although he is like a father figure to your main character and a father figure to this gang, and you're watching him unravel, you're pretty much seeing him turn into this super fucking evil person. So the message that they're getting across is that this ideology is hell-bent on turning evil. Not going too fast? Y'all let me know. Yeah, man, I really hope somebody who actually like played this game watches this video and like fucks with me. You know what I'm saying? Because like I'm not here to give like a plot synopsis of like all that happens. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm here to expose the political lines. So yeah, Dutch, you see him as the game progresses, and this game is actually a prequel, and he's like a main antagonist of the of the next game. So you even going into this and seeing all his values or whatever, you know that he's gonna become an evil person if you played the last one anyway. Yeah, I guess you could also say that like his camp is like inclusive or whatever, but really what they're inclusive of is a bunch of just really shallow characters or like characterization of black and brown people, and I like hate to see it. You know what I'm saying? Because there's a lot of potential there, but obviously like you can't expect white nationalism to put this story in like a really dope way and make really dope black and brown characters. They're all subservient, and I'm talking about Charles, Lenny, Javier, and Tilly. Those are like the main black and brown people, and one of them like dies quarter of the game, dies a brutal fucking death. Javier, like, and everyone else is like not really a factor in the main story. They're there, and your character talks to them, but they don't push the story along. I should say, except with the exception of Charles, who's kind of Charles is a half indigenous, half black brother. So like he's kind of like a stand-in for all these like stereotypes essentially. Like they just jammed all of that together with him. Yeah. But all those people are in Dutch Vanderland's gang, and essentially they look up to him as like a white savior, and it goes to show that like he's kind of like inclusive. He's like all inclusive. There's even like a feminist stand-in in the shape of Sally, I think her name is. She's like this ultra tough cowgirl or whatever who doesn't fuck with gender norms. Like she wears like masculine clothes or whatever, and Dutch is like accepting of all that. So I guess that's like their characterization of like a socialist or a leftist kind of like camp, and then like it literally falls to motherfucking pieces. Everyone ends up like going at each other's throats, and one of the actual main character from the previous one, from Red Dead Redemption 1, he forsakes the gang altogether, abandons the gang to lead what is essentially the American dream. I'm talking about John Marston. So John Marston in this series is kind of the main character for real. Like the character you play as in Red Dead Redemption 2 is kind of like a lens to look at these two characters who are the antagonist and protagonist of the first game. Hold up, let me look at my notes, y'all. Yeah, your main character is seeing this gang degrade. He himself doesn't really take a stance on all these political things. He is just a on the fence main character that everyone can get along with, essentially. He was loyal to Dutch's way. He was loyal to that kind of idealism until he contracts tuberculosis, and then he realizes that Dutch's way, which is pretty much the communist way, is not a suitable lifestyle or not an honorable lifestyle for him to live. Because he has tuberculosis, it's too late for his redemption. And y'all gotta understand that he's like a fucking cowboy. You don't have the privilege of knowing when the fuck you're gonna die when you live that life. But he contracted tuberculosis, so he got the chance at redemption in a kind of way. So he does that by giving John Marston, the main character of the sequel or the original game, he gives him a chance to chase the American dream. That's pretty much the function of Arthur Morgan. And that's really I'm getting a message from my co-host that I should read some comments, y'all. Let me see what y'all got going on. Oh shit, y'all got a lot of motherfuckers shit. Hey, Black Power Peter. Oh shit, y'all got a lot. Jack Jackson. Black Power Peter. Man, I can't stand hearing myself, bro. Hold up. Jackson says, I got halfway through Red Dead Redemption 2 and couldn't finish it because it irked my nerves for many of the reasons you mentioned. They missed the ball with the black and brown characters and had no character development. Yo, dead ass, bro. I don't know if you played the first one, but it's like really dumbass like characterization of like Mexican motherfuckers. They're just like on guitars, getting drunk and being like, yeah, and shit like that. I feel you on that. Jules Klein said, it's hard to think of a game where there's a black person that isn't an ex-convict. We need more black and brown video game characters. I feel you, but we can't have black and brown video game characters like under the white nationalist media. If the company owns our media, then they're going to have a message to convey through our characters. What we need is power so we can tell our own stories. You feel me, brother? And I got this. Does this go up on YT? When you lived in that time in general. There's this dude with the libertarian flag. I don't know if it's like ironic libertarian. Hopefully, because that shit is some cracker shit. But yeah, thanks for the comments, y'all. Keep it coming. Keep it coming. Because yeah, this game is just so expansive that there's probably a lot that I can't cover, like dead ass. Because first of all, I'm a revolutionary and I'm over here doing food drives in Orlando, organizing, making propaganda, making these videos, studying for all this shit. So I had to zoom through that shit. All that I'm talking about is okay, good to know it's ironic, right on. But yeah, all I'm talking about is what happens in the main story. You feel me? Cause damn, like you could just sit down and like talk to motherfuckers like for hours and they'll have like all this shit to say. Like when you like sit around the campfire and all that, like all that shit's impressive. And don't get me wrong, I fucking love this game. Like I fucking love this game. But like I said, I eat that shit up. I eat up like the Western setting, mostly because of things like Cowboy Bebop or Trigun, or like space westerns and shit like that. So like I kind of have like a soft spot for westerns, but I peep that cracker shit, bro. I be peeping that shit. But yeah, the trifecta, the main people who push this story forward is Dutch Vanderlyn, the communist sit-in of the communist like evil cult leader type. John Marston, the protagonist of the next game, who wants to abandon this kind of lifestyle, wants to abandon this Wild West type shit. And what he aims to do is like start a nuclear family and own this land and work hard and shit like that. Like, people gotta understand that like it's in that kind of way that racism manifests. Like, he wants to, after doing all the fuck shit that he is used to doing, he wants to have a plot of land, stolen motherfucking land on indigenous territory, and just mind his own motherfucking business. Like, that entitlement is just something that it's like hard to describe to like a white leftist, bro. That like after like raping and pillaging and plundering and all that shit like that, which I'm not even talking about John Marston, I'm talking about like white proletariat or white working class or whatever. Like, you just want to do you on this stolen land with this stolen resources, and that's like the base of colonialism, that you think that it's all good now, that yeah, like that's the goal, to have a white wife and a son. And he had said in the first one that he had a daughter too, which I said before in these in the propaganda video, that that's the nuclear family, right? So the nuclear family is essentially, when you're a child, that's your first interaction with the world. That's how you first get introduced to governance. And since it's a microcosm of the values of the society at large. It's like the macro is the nation state, the micro is the family. So in that regard, the fact that he's a heterosexual white Anglo-Saxon, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's depicted as the goal. That is that is the shining moment. You know what I'm saying? That's like the American dream. That's American values. You feel me? And I'm about to wrap this shit up. Right here. Red Dead Redemption is pretty much about if America can be redeemable. It's the conflict between its bloody ass motherfucking past that people like to downplay, versus what it like kind of wants to be. You know what I'm saying? Like, hold up, I'm getting a message, y'all. Oh, yo, if y'all really fuck with what I'm doing, if y'all interested in this kind of analysis, please donate. I'm not doing this just to talk about this game that I like. I do this because I feel like the masses need political education, and it's like Jules said, we need to like understand that, man, these institutions cannot do us justice. They can't make our story justice. So if you are interested in gaining power for us, if you are interested in making our own propaganda that is in the interest of our people, telling stories where our struggle is the virtuous struggle, the benevolent struggle, as opposed to the white nationalists, like their struggle ain't fucking benevolent. Please join Black Hammer. We need graphic designers. You know what I'm saying? Or donate if you can. Just $5 a month would really help us, y'all. You could go to blackhammer.org/donate or blackhammer.org and sign up to join my propaganda team, because I need graphic designers and all that. Not only designer. Not bad. Gigi's telling me something. Okay. But yeah. What was I talking about? Yeah, John Marston goes on a whole arc trying to redeem himself. You know what I'm saying? Trying to be what society like wants him to be. And I don't even know where I'm going with this, y'all. It's getting late. Hold on. Oh my God, I lost my train of thought. I'm gonna cut this. I'm gonna end this now. Y'all got anything else? Let me see the comments. Period. Yo, Peter is right. I hear that too. I haven't looked into that specifically, where like cowboys are like supposed to be like Mexican or black people, because like it makes no sense to me that like white people were like wrangling, doing work and shit like that, but y'all was some fucking slave owners. That makes no fucking sense that y'all was like wrangling and shit. Like, it makes more sense that black people were cowboys, or fucking I guess like maybe Mexicans. Yeah, I hadn't looked into that, but I had also heard that, Peter. But yeah, if that's it, y'all, I'm about to wrap this up. Hopefully, I did a good job enough to like lay out what certain key points are, so y'all can culminate and really like dissect that vicious colonial capitalist narrative, y'all. But yeah, I think that's it. Black Power. Peace.